Just about any sales professional today is already using a CRM, or a customer relationship management tool. These are systems like Nutshell and Salesforce that allow you to enter your customers' records and set a next follow-up time and log in notes about all of your communication with them. Let's face it, it'd just be impossible to do business today at the scale that most of us do it at. We have too many leads, too many referrals, and too many next steps to keep track of on a piece of paper, or worse, right up here in our head. And so what I find is that most people that are using a CRM are overlooking one simple but critical tip that I want to recommend to you today. So what happens in business in a perfect world is that customers would show up, they would do a proposal with us, and they would end up buying and then becoming a customer in a relatively short time. But if you're in sales, you know that that happens only a sliver of the time. The majority of the time, something else happens, such as they don't have the budget, they've deferred this to another time, or even worse, they actually end up choosing to go with a competitor. So my tip for you today is to go into your CRM, and of the hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people, what I want to recommend for you is that nobody makes it into your CRM without having some kind of next step or future event to contact them. Because let's face it, if they're in your CRM and you don't have a next step scheduled, they're as good as not in your CRM, because you're never going to find the time to go through and just start calling them. So what I like to do is make sure that everybody in my CRM always has a next step. Now that next step may be to simply follow up in a month, a quarter, or even a year. Now when somebody decides to go with a competitor and doesn't do business with me, I'll actually schedule in a follow-up about 3 or 6 months later just to make sure they're happy with the business that they're doing. Now, all the time if you're in sales, you'll be familiar with this. Somebody that hasn't talked to you in 6 months or a year will either reach out to you because they have a new need, or you'll just happen to check in with them and they'll say, "I'm really glad you reached out today because business has changed and I actually have a need for what you're doing." Just this week, we've been re-engaged by a customer that we haven't done business with for over 2 years. They got some new funding and they're ready to revamp all of their marketing. And because I had been following up with them about every single quarter and having meaningful conversations, I was the first call he decided to make when it was time to actually reinvest in their marketing. So do yourself a favor, find some time, go through people in your CRM that you haven't contacted in a quarter or even a year, and go ahead and start following up with them, and make sure nobody makes it into your CRM without a next step schedule. Send this video to anybody in your sales team, because otherwise you're leaving lots of business on the table.